I and in California, if you got pregnant, you can have abortions. Not a big deal. But over in Oklahoma, if you get pregnant, it's a big deal, and you have to have money to get an abortion. And somebody was too busy borrowing money from my mom to get abortions, so I didn't want to bother her with any money for an abortion.
And you were 21.
Is that too much information?
No, you're fine. No.
Yeah, and I was about 21. Definitely not mother material. Never have been. I probably never would have been a mother if I didn't get pregnant with Jamie in Oklahoma. But yeah, I'm just not mother material.
That's not.
And my parents, they weren't loving, and they did the best they could, but I don't even think they loved each other, to tell you the truth. Well, Dad loved Mom, but Mom didn't love Dad.
And that was like the 1950 American, Leave It to Beaver type family that Mom grew up in.
Yeah, they were,
So there wasn't a lot of like emotion involved.
Yeah.
It was kind of all mechanical.
Yeah, and I think that's why I latched on to somebody that was abusive. I mean, I didn't know he was abusive at first, but I stayed with him because I was really insecure and just needed to have security, even though he whipped my ass. But then I know he loved me and he would take care of me until he would start drinking and get angry and beat me. Anyway, so what else?
So you were. No, thanks for sharing that. I know that's really hard, Mom. This is going to help somebody, though. That we're doing this to help somebody, and we have a happy ending that's still unfolding. So,
Boy, yeah, it's crazy.
So my mom went through a lot, and thanks for sharing this stuff, Mom. Thank you for sharing these things. It's really healing and good for you, and good for us, and good for whoever this will reach. But you were speaking about in Oklahoma, it was hard to have abortions and you needed money because you didn't feel like mom material and you were afraid was your reason that you were seeking to have an abortion, even though you were married, but you were very young, very afraid, and you were with an abusive man, and there was drugs involved. So you went to, how did that go?
Oh, we went to a church to get help.
To ask them for money for an abortion?
I know we asked for food. We asked for help.
So we didn't grow up believers. There was no talk about Jesus or God. There's no such thing
Well,
as
your dad
spiritual.
did. He did.
Oh, in the early times of that?
Let's see, where were we? Yeah, well, yeah, when you were, I know he did when you were born.
Well, even if it was surface level. There was no life transformation. Long story short about Mike Jackson, my real dad, he overdosed on heroin when I was 21 years old. So he's been long gone for a while.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he's been long gone. But he would talk about Jesus sometimes when I'd see him, because I see him once in a while when I became a teenager.
And we went to church sometimes together.
I don't know.
In another
we weren't
state.
Christians.
It must have been Oklahoma.
We weren't.
He would say he was. He would.
There's lots of people that say they're Christians and still use drugs and still do this and still do that, and that's okay. That's between them and the Lord. But in my walk with Jesus Christ, I'm not going to. I want to see what God can do with me, and most of all, I want to break these generational curses. I don't want my kids to see a phony, fake Christian. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm kind of going off topic here, but I didn't grow up going to church or any talk about the Lord. And we weren't church goers. We were really screwed up people is basically the bottom line.
Well,
but
yeah,
maybe
we
here and
ran
there.
away from Mike, and
So you went to a church to ask for help and ask for money for an abortion. And of course, a church wouldn't give money for an abortion. And so that's how I was born. And when my mom just recently shared that with me, and I just thought that was so neat that even back then, remember in the Bible it says, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. So he knew my mom. He created my mom in her mother's womb, and then I was in her womb. But way back then, he was intervening to have life be born for his purposes, for his glory. And that's what we're doing right here, right now, in this time, giving God glory. Does that mean I'm totally against abortions and I'm like one of those people that stand outside the picket fence, or the picket line or whatever? That's just me. I don't condemn people for abortions. That's between them and the Lord. And I'm getting off topic again really quick, but I've never really shared this. I don't condemn people for abortions. That's between them and the Lord. I share the gospel, and then it's up to them of what they're going to do when things like that happen, when drugs are involved, abortions are involved, whatever it is. But yeah, I'm not one of those Christians that says, you don't have abortions. Do I believe in abortions? I don't. But do I go around making a big deal about it? I don't do that either, because that only pushes unbelievers away and makes them hate us. For real. So, you did that. Then I was born.